There is an animal living in your ocean right now that has 9 brains. Not 1, 9. And before you dismiss that as a figure of speech, it isn't. Each of the 8 arms of an octopus contains its own independent neural cluster, its own decision-making center, its own ability to act, react, and problem solve without asking the central brain for permission. Which means, right now, somewhere on the ocean floor, there is a creature whose left arm is hunting, whose right arm is hiding, whose central brain is watching, and none of these things are coordinating with each other in the way you'd expect. And that should not be possible, because everything we understand about intelligence, everything, assumes a single center of control, a command structure, one brain giving orders to a body that follows them. That is how nervous systems are supposed to work. That is, the model evolution has used for hundreds of millions of years across virtually every complex animal on Earth. The octopus ignored all of it. And the more scientists study what that actually means, the more uncomfortable the implications become, which raises the question: if an animal can think in 9 places simultaneously, what does that tell us about the nature of thought itself? And why did evolution build something this strange in the first place? The answer reaches back 500 million years, and it changes everything you think you know about what a mind actually is. Let's start with the body, because the octopus body is the first sign that something deeply unusual is happening here. An octopus has no skeleton, no shell, no rigid structure of any kind. It is almost entirely soft tissue, which means it can compress itself through any opening larger than its beak. The beak is the only hard part of its entire body. If the beak fits, the octopus fits. Researchers have documented octopuses squeezing through gaps the size of a coin. That alone is remarkable, but it creates an immediate problem. A soft body with 8 independent arms and no skeleton requires an extraordinary level of motor control. In humans, moving a single arm involves the brain calculating joint angles, muscle tensions, and spatial coordinates in real time. It works because we have a rigid skeleton that constrains movement to predictable pathways. An octopus arm has no joints, no skeleton, no constraints. Every point along its entire length can bend in any direction at any time. The number of possible positions a single octopus arm can take is, mathematically, almost infinite. So how does the brain control it? It doesn't. Not entirely. And here's where things start getting truly strange. 2/3 of an octopus's neurons, 2/3, are not in its central brain. They are distributed throughout its arms. Each arm contains roughly 50 million neurons. For comparison, a honeybee's entire brain contains about 1 million neurons. Each octopus arm is, neurologically speaking, smarter than an entire bee, and the arm uses that intelligence independently. When scientists severed an octopus arm from its body in laboratory conditions, the arm continued to behave in complex ways for up to an hour. It responded to stimuli. It reached for food. It showed coordinated movement. The arm, disconnected from any central brain, continued to act as though it had its own agenda. Because it did. But this creates an even bigger problem. If the arms think independently, what does the central brain actually do? It watches. Research from the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole showed something that stopped neuroscientists cold. When an octopus reaches for prey, the central brain issues a single instruction, not a detailed motor command, not a trajectory calculation, just reach. And then the arm figures out the rest. By itself. The arm senses the environment. The arm adjusts its path around obstacles. The arm decides how to grip, how much pressure to apply, how to handle unexpected movement from the prey. The central brain receives a report when the task is complete. This is not how nervous systems are supposed to work. This is not how any animal nervous system works, except this one, which raises the question. If the octopus evolved an entirely different solution to the problem of intelligence, what else did it get differently? Almost everything. The octopus eye is one of the most studied organs in biology, not because it's similar to ours, but because it independently evolved to be almost identical to ours through a completely separate evolutionary pathway. The human eye and the octopus eye solve the same problem, gathering and processing light using the same general architecture, despite having no shared ancestor that had eyes at all. Evolutionary biologists call this convergent evolution, two completely different lineages arriving at the same solution independently. But the octopus eye has one feature the human eye doesn't. Octopuses are colorblind. Their eyes have only one type of photoreceptor compared to our three. They should not be able to distinguish colors, except they can. Researchers cannot fully explain how. One leading theory involves the pupil, the strange, horizontal, W-shaped pupil of the octopus, which may allow it to use the way light bends through water to distinguish wavelengths that its single photoreceptor type shouldn't be able to separate. It's using the physics of light itself as a color filter. We think. We're not entirely sure, but here's the detail that makes this truly strange. Octopuses change color constantly. Their skin contains millions of specialized cells, chromatophores, iridophores, papillae, that can produce any color, any pattern, any texture in under 200 milliseconds. They are the most sophisticated camouflage system ever discovered in nature, and they are doing this while being, as far as we can tell, colorblind, which means an octopus may be producing colors it cannot see, communicating in a visual language it cannot directly perceive. Why? We don't know. And that unknowing is itself a window into how strange this animal truly is. But let's come back to the brain, because the intelligence question goes deeper than motor control and color perception. Octopuses use tools, not metaphorically. They collect coconut shell halves from the ocean floor, carry them across distances, and assemble them into shelters when needed. Tool use, carrying an object now for use later, requires something neuroscientists call perspective cognition, the ability to imagine a future scenario and act in the present to prepare for it. We thought that was a primate thing, maybe a crow thing. The octopus has no evolutionary relationship to either. Octopuses play. Researchers at the Seattle Aquarium documented octopuses repeatedly releasing objects into a water current and catching them again, with no food reward involved. The only coherent explanation is that they were doing it because it was interesting to them. Play behavior. Behavior with no survival purpose, performed for its own sake, is one of the markers we use to identify complex cognition. Octopuses recognize individual human faces. Laboratory octopuses have been documented behaving differently toward specific researchers, showing positive responses to some, negative responses to others. Individual recognition, sustained memory, social differentiation applied to a species they evolved alongside for 0 years of their evolutionary history. And octopuses escape, constantly, from tanks designed to contain them. They have been documented unscrewing lids from the inside, opening latches, traveling across dry floors in the middle of the night to raid adjacent tanks, then returning to their own tanks before morning. Covering the action camera, a researcher installed to document the escapes, and researchers are still not entirely certain how deliberate that last part was, which raises a question that biologists increasingly find themselves unable to avoid. If an animal uses tools, plays, recognizes faces, plans escapes, and operates with 9 semi-independent thinking centers, at what point do we stop calling it simple and start asking what it actually experiences? Because here's the part that changes everything. Octopuses live, on average, between 1 and 3 years. Some species less. Everything we've described, the distributed intelligence, the tool use, the play, the individual recognition, the camouflage system we still don't fully understand. All of it exists in an animal that will be dead before it turns 2. They don't learn from parents. Octopuses are solitary. The female dies shortly after her eggs hatch. The juveniles receive no teaching, no cultural transmission, no inherited knowledge of any kind. Everything an octopus knows, it figured out alone, from scratch, in under 2 years. For comparison, it takes a human child 2 years just to learn to walk and speak basic sentences. An octopus, in the same amount of time, becomes one of the most behaviorally sophisticated animals on the planet. But this creates the deepest problem of all. If the octopus is this intelligent, and it demonstrably is, then intelligence does not require a long lifespan. It does not require social learning. It does not require cultural transmission across generations. It does not require a skeleton, or a centralized brain, or any of the things we assumed were prerequisites for complex cognition. The octopus didn't evolve intelligence the way we did. It evolved a completely parallel version of intelligence, independently, using a completely different architecture, in an animal that lives for 18 months and dies alone. Which means intelligence is not one thing. It is not a single solution that evolution stumbled upon and refined. It is a problem, the problem of surviving in a complex environment, and evolution has solved that problem at least twice, in completely different ways, arriving at completely different minds. We are one solution, the octopus is another, and the unsettling implication hiding inside that fact is this: if intelligence can emerge twice, independently, using entirely different neural architectures, how many other times has it emerged? How many other forms of mind exist in the ocean, on land, in forms we haven't studied closely enough to recognize? The octopus didn't just surprise us with its intelligence. It forced us to question whether we even know what intelligence is. 11 arms, 9 brains, 18 months of life, and we still don't fully understand it. That's not a gap in our knowledge about octopuses. That's a gap in our understanding of what minds can be. And the ocean has had 500 million years to fill that gap in ways we haven't even begun to imagine.